Oxford, Read and Discover number 2, Sunny and Rainy. Hi guys, welcome to a new episode on this channel. Today we will be talking about Oxford, Read and Discover, Sunny and Rainy. So let's get started. Now, what is this book about? Well, as the title says, it's sunny and rainy, but it talks much more than that. It does talk about sunny, which is about, and rainy, and cloudy, and snowy, windy, warm and wet, cold and dry, and yeah, all those types of weather. But first, let's talk about sunny and rainy first. In sunny days, sun is the cause of sunny days. Sun is very hot. The sun has lots of heat and light. The heat and light from the sun can go to the earth, which makes it warm for us to live. It takes 8 minutes for the heat and light to reach the earth. And then there are some places with just warm and sunny all year. They have no seasons. Well, not this place. Definitely not this place because, well, it is hot in sometimes, but yet it's cold in sometimes. But it is mostly sunny these days. Sometimes thunderstorms do happen here. But there is a snowless winter, by the way. Now there are sometimes 2 seasons all over the world. The summer is the hottest season of all, and in winter it is the coldest season of all. Rainy. The rainy season is pretty good for a lot of people, but not always. Sometimes sometimes you just need the just right amount of rain to feel something. But sometimes there are too much rain. There's too much rain that everything can overflow. Everything can overflow because of too much rain. And then we can't fit in more because it's can't. Yeah. And that's how a lot of floods actually happen, by overflowing of water, usually by rains and stuff. Yep. This is how rains are bad, but are there anything good about viruses? Well, there are some things good about rain, by the way. The good things is that people, plants, and animals need their rain to live and on the water. And also, it's pretty good into climate controls. Number 3, cloudy. In cloudy days, it's when the whole day is cloudy. It blocks the sun. It blocks the sunlight. Okay, so if this is the sun, this is a cloud, it blocks you. It blocks the sun from you. And also me in the process. So let's turn it off. I'm getting blinded. That's an experiment that you can try yourself. That you can actually try yourself. And now, well, cloudy days aren't always bad, but they can sometimes get the heat in. But sometimes they can be bad, like the cumulonimbus cloud, which is one of the largest clouds of all. And these are thunder clouds and storm clouds. Very bad. Don't get struck by lightning, though. And now, this is in a snowy day. In snowy days, there is a lot can happen. First of all, snow can fall. And yay, snow! And then another thing that can happen is ice can fall, including hail and thunderstorms. Yeah, all that can fall down. And now I also colored the white in this picture. However, you might not be able to see it a bit clear. And now you might see it properly because, well, it's actually in a dark place, which will actually, I'm shading in, making a little light effect. Okay, back to snow. Snowy days have a lot of things that can happen here. And even skiing is needing for snow. But sometimes there's too much snow that cars can't move. This is a day where all students except me celebrate. Except the smart school type students who celebrate, yay, no school! Which I do not support. And now, let's talk about windy days. In windy days, the wind is created by the sun. You might say, huh? How? So, first of all, let's use two colors to represent air. Red will be warm air, and the sky blue, or just blue, will be cold air. Warm air rises, but once it rises, it cools down into cold air, which sinks. But when the cold air sinks, it starts warming up and then goes back into warm air. And then it sinks. And it continues and continues like that. But however, all these things are happening like this because of, and this creates wind. Like how we can make wind by just moving things fast and fast. The warm and cold air can make the fast winds. And there are breezes, which are mild winds. But there are even hurricanes, which are the fastest winds in the world. And now let's talk about warm and wet climates. Now in warm and wet climates, okay, can't be saying that. Warm and wet climates, they usually happen in the tropical regions, which is near the equator. Like this. Tropical regions are near the equator. And now it's spun all the way around. And these places are pretty tropical because, well, sunlight, let's do the experiment again, hits the equator the most often. It's the Earth is always on a little tilt. And because of that tilt, the equator is the place where the sunlight hits the most. Actually, it's supposed to be like this, pretty bright. And you can see by light that it can actually hit the middle the most often. Okay, it's starting to blind me. Ah, the hat is much good. And now, as we see in the equator here, it's where the tropical regions are most found. That's why some parts of Africa have rainforests in them, and yes, even the Amazon rainforest is on the equator. Somewhere around here. And now if we just spin at random places in the world, we might be able to see, well, not this place, rainforests in the world. Of course, not on the Pacific Ocean since it's water. Okay, so some places where there might be, oh my goodness, why is it the Pacific Ocean every time? Some places where there might be rainforest is on the equator. Now let's just move on to warm and wet into cold and dry climates. The coldest places on Earth are on the Arctic and the Antarctic. Now the Arctic and Antarctic are probably the coldest places on Earth, and they are dry. They are dry themselves. Why I am saying that they are dry is because that, well, first of all, let's turn this off. It's because that a lot of the Arctic and Antarctic are usually dry. And that's how a lot of people are actually in this world. Seals live in the Arctic and Antarctic, where they eat fish so that they can get fat. The fat keeps them warm. Don't try to do this at home in this warm climate that you're in. Do not. You will get sick or even cut your throat. Well, there are some times when the climate, and sometimes they're out of this world. And these are times when these out-of-the-world explorations are pretty much the best in the world. Out-of-the-world experiences are pretty good, and sometimes the climate can be outside of space. Mars is a climate, Mercury is a climate, which is pretty hot, and let's just say it's hot. So, ciao for now. This is the end of this episode of Sunny and Rainy. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next episode. Jinhan out. Peace. Ciao for now.